Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Light Side Reaction Reviews. Today we are watching the season finale for Young Sheldon, Season 7, Episode 14, titled Memoir. Last time we watched the funeral episode, which was very emotional, as Sheldon and his family said goodbye to George Sr., Sheldon's father. And so now we have the final episode, which I heard that Jem Parsons and Mia Bialik, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but anyway, they're going to be guest stars on this episode. So let's go ahead and check it out. Young Sheldon, Season 7, Episode 14, Memoir.
Previously on Young Sheldon.
Oh dear.
You having a hard time adjusting to high school?
I'm having a hard time adjusting to Earth. Hey, doofus!
Oh, it's good to see him from
I'll go with
Season
you,
1
Mom.
again.
You don't believe in God. Nope, but I believe in Mom.
I love that.
Tell me what you see.
That you're old.
Oh, they were so cute.
I have a tough time making friends too.
Well, good luck on your quest to find a friend.
And see how they changed.
If it's funny, it's Bazinga.
What a charming young man.
Yeah, they're Bazinga Comics. That's where he got that idea. I remember that now.
You tell my granddaughter she can't play baseball? Meemaw got a date with the coach.
Why Sheldon Cooper should go to college. Jeez.
Red Nose Day.
Aye, Captain. Greetings, Mother.
Are you running a gambling room in the back of the laundromat? No. I love you.
The girl from 18,
I'm Georgie.
Mandy.
whatever it was, that spin-off show.
She's here.
1883, I think it was called.
Connie, I'm so sorry.
I'm going to MIT. Caltech?
Caltech. Alright, that was good. I like that. A little quick montage. It was just slightly over a minute there. But basically just gave us a summary of the first seven seasons up till now. Yeah, it was great to see the passage of time over that, some of the highlights. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the episode.
It had been 27 days since my father's funeral, and everyone was still understandably out of sorts.
Finish up. We got to get to church.
We already went Wednesday and Thursday.
Is that enough?
Jesus died for you. He didn't ask if that was enough.
Please let us come live with you.
Just give her some time. She'll settle down.
Do we really have to go?
Okay, so
Yes,
she's
you really have to go.
spending all her time in church.
Even
That's
as
her
a
way of
child,
dealing
I
with
was
it.
always doing things to make other people happy.
You've got to be kidding.
There they are.
Writing your memoir or a fantasy novel?
For your information, the word memoir comes from memory, and these memories are mine.
And some
Okay, so that's a good point. Some people notice some, shall we say, continuity issues between the Big Bang Theory, how he described had happened to him when he was younger, and then when we see it in Young Sheldon. And so some of these discrepancies are because of his memory, and this is his memoir.
when do you go out of your way to make other people happy?
How about once a year on your birthday?
Other than that, when?
All the time.
We know what that is.
Sheldon, while I was giving birth, you zoomed into a seminar.
You were taking forever to dilate, and I'd already made my contribution to the project, which, need I remind you, was on your birthday.
I would love to dissect your brain to see which part is missing.
Or you'll find an all-new structure no one's ever seen before, an evolutionary leap forward.
Don't push me, I have a bone saw.
All these years and the passion is still there.
Let me remind you that Emmanuel means God with
us.
And I promise you, he is. Now let's all bow our heads in silent prayer.
Sheldon's not feeling it.
What is that?
It's my new laptop. Dr. Sturgis and Dr. Linkletter gave it to me as a graduation gift.
Don't get it out during prayer.
Sheldon, what you got there?
An IBM ThinkPad.
Don't
Does
call
that
him
seem
out.
appropriate for church?
It's a miracle of technology.
All right. Sheldon, as I said in previous videos, obviously he has this social thing where he's just socially awkward. He doesn't know how to relate to people in a way that people would commonly be receptive to. And so obviously he's going to make social mistakes. On the other hand, Pastor Jeff here, I think it was a mistake to call him out publicly as well. And this is, the view that Chuck Lorre, the showrunner here and creator of Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon, he seems to have this dim view of religious figures and of religion in general, because that's been probably his experience, is things like this, is people in authority and religious communities being, shall we say, not the best influences and not making the best decisions and how they interact with people, possibly being judgmental, as we saw in the episode where, Georgie got Mandy pregnant and the church reacted poorly to that. I've got my own stories I could tell you about how I've seen and experienced situations similar to that, to where the church just doesn't always react right, and that's because we're all human. We all make mistakes. Even the best among us, we make mistakes. I'm a preacher, and so people expect me to be better than everybody else and held to a higher standard. And there's a reason for that, and it's important that I hold myself to a higher standard and try to be better. I think God expects me to be better, but at the same time, we have to not lift ourselves up on a pedestal, as one of my band's songs says, and to think more of ourselves than we are. And I think it's important for us as religious leaders, and not just the leaders, but just Christians in general, to not give people that impression that we're all high and mighty and that we think I'm better than you are. We're not. We're not any better than anybody else. Yeah, we're still sinners just like everybody else. The only difference is we're saved by the grace of God. He offers us all that free gift of salvation, grace, and forgiveness, and it's up to us to just accept it and follow Him wherever He leads. And that begins us on our journey of faith. And so it's important for us to be humble as Christians. And I think this is a moment of humility for Pastor Jeff that maybe, hopefully, he'd learn from. I've seen his character grow over the seasons. But we still make mistakes, and I hope that, other people in his situation, as the character of Pastor Jeff, can learn from these situations and be able to relate better to the community around us, where Sheldon has his social faults, Pastor Jeff has his as well, from two completely different standpoints, and they're both socially awkward people for completely different reasons. And it's interesting that these two characters are so different and yet so alike at the same time. They're both socially awkward, yet in completely different ways. It's almost like they're two opposite sides of the same coin. And so maybe I'll talk about that in depth sometime. But right now, we want to get back into this episode because we're here to see the final episode of Young Sheldon.
Get ready for your son's hockey game, because that would be neat.
Oh, I'm not going to that.
Ooh,
Check this
they
out.
have a son that
My
plays
first
hockey.
laptop from 1994.
He's still got the laptop.
Terrific. What do you mean you're not going?
Children on skates hitting a rubber puck with a stick. Why would I want to see that?
Because Leonard is your son, and he is one
They
of
named
those
him
children.
Leonard.
This is why I wanted to wait until cloning was possible, because the old-fashioned way got us a hockey player.
Get dressed.
But I'm busy. I'm writing about my last few days in Texas before going to Caltech.
Stop it. You are not sick.
You're not that kind of doctor. You don't know.
Dale with his guitar. He's actually playing that too.
Is this what you do when I'm not here?
You could have walked in on a lot worse. Hey, how's it going?
Okay, kudos to the showrunners here. They had him actually playing the guitar. A lot of times you turn on TV and movies and you see people playing musical instruments, and it is so obvious to somebody that actually plays the instrument that it's fake. And we wonder how that could convince anybody, and how it doesn't pull them out of the show and make you lose whatever connection that you're having with the show. But they made a wise decision here. They had him actually playing the guitar, even though obviously he's not a phenomenal guitar player by any means, but neither are some of the professionals. You get some of these famous singers and you get them up on stage, like Taylor Swift, maybe. I'm not saying her exactly, but somebody like her that gets up on stage and they're more of a singer than an instrumentalist. They get up there and they're playing the guitar, and for somebody that's watching and really knows how to play the guitar, a lot of times you realize they're faking it too. They're not actually playing the guitar. The band behind them is playing, and they're just faking it just for the looks. They didn't do that here. He's actually playing that. So, thumbs up from a musician.
Just worried about Mary.
Is she hitting the bottle?
Hitting the Bible hard. She's pushing away her children just when they need her the most.
Other than being there for them, what else can you do?
I don't know.
Hey, you know, when I was young, lost and mad at the world, picking up a guitar kept me from going down a bad road.
So what are you saying? Missy and Sheldon should form a band?
Work for the Carpenters.
Put some pants on.
Love the Carpenters reference. Karen and what was her brother's name? Carpenters. I know his name too, but Karen was the singer, and he was the songwriter, and that's how they dealt with their grief, was through music.
I got no pants on my leg.
Typical blues riff. You just start. Yeah, it sounds like something that an old blues writer would sit down and come up with. But yeah, me being a songwriter, I look back on some of my first songs that I wrote, and they were like the most crazy, stupid stuff you'd ever think of. And I would be ashamed to quote them or to tell you what the lyrics were on some of them. But it's crazy stuff like that that lets us look back and hopefully realize how far we've come over the years. That the song I wrote last week is like miles beyond the song that I wrote 30 years ago.
Why is there still a placemat there?
At your father's seat.
But he's not here.
She's still setting a place for him.
He's here in spirit.
No, he's not.
Shut up, Sheldon.
Yeah, shut up, Sheldon.
Chicken's good, Mary.
Mandy, did you change the topic to fried chicken because my topic was awkward?
I did.
And is it awkward that I'm bringing it up again?
It is.
It's getting there.
It's not a magic chair. Anyone can sit there. And even if spirits existed, which
Let
they
it go,
don't,
Sheldon.
they can't call dibs on furniture. If I sit in it, will you please stop talking about it? I suppose so.
And so symbolically, Georgie takes George's place. He doesn't want to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's
There's
uncomfortable
something
for all
I've
of
been
them.
thinking about that I would like you kids to consider. I want you both to get baptized.
This is some good chicken. See how I changed the subject when Mom made it awkward?
Okay. Now here's the preacher speaking. This is not a wise course of events for Mary to take. You don't want to suggest to your children that they get baptized. That's not what baptism is. I mean, she's missing the whole point, and that's part of the legalistic view that the show writers here seem to express about religion, is how superficial that it is. And in this case, it is. That's a very superficial view to have. Is she's wanting her kids to get baptized, and the way she's looking at it, it doesn't matter as much that they believe, but she wants them to go through the motions. And that completely misses the point. If you're just going through the motions, it means nothing. I would never, as a Christian or as a pastor, encourage somebody to get baptized that didn't fully grasp what it meant and want to do that on their own. Otherwise, they're just going through the motions and it means nothing. In fact, it is not only meaningless, but it's actually detrimental. It's a setback in their own journey of faith. Because they're doing something that they don't understand what the significance is, and it loses all its meaning. And so, just my advice, to religious mothers and fathers out there encouraging your children, you want to encourage them to have their journey of faith with God, but don't push the symbolism onto them of baptism or something like that, and encourage them to do something that they don't understand and they don't agree with. Because if they're just doing it just to please you, it's not helping them. It's not helping them in the least. It's not helping anybody else. And it's not even helping you. It makes you feel better in the moment. But that's all it's doing. It's actually hurting them. And, when time comes that God speaks to their heart and tells them, I am your father, I love you, and they start feeling that love back for him as well, then that's when they'll make that decision on their own. And you can explain that to them, teach them at a young age what the symbolism means, so that when they do experience that call from God, that they'll recognize what it is and be able to react to it appropriately. But you never want to push somebody into a decision like that. This is a very bad decision for Mary.
No, I am serious. This is important. It is about saving your souls.
I'm not doing it.
Me neither.
It ain't no big deal. I did it.
That's not how you save your soul.
Yeah.
That's not how the Force works.
He kissed a girl in the tub and she punched him in the face.
I remember that episode. And that's a perfect example. He went through the motions of getting baptized for the wrong reasons. He was doing it to impress a girl. It didn't help him any. Maybe years later he learned from that lesson. So you see here the look on his face. He's not happy with her telling this story in front of his new wife. But yeah, don't encourage people to do this for the wrong reasons. You've got to do it when you feel called by God to do it. And for myself as a pastor, if somebody tells me they want to be baptized, I want to sit down with them first and make sure they understand, okay, do you know what baptism is, what it means? Why are you getting baptized? Why do you want to do this? And, encourage them to fully understand what it means, so it is meaningful for them, and not just going through the motions just to please somebody else or because they feel that it's the important thing to do for tradition purpose.
Really?
I'm going to say pepper's one of the secret spices. That leaves 10.
Okay, enough changing the subject. You two are getting baptized, and that is the end of the discussion.
You can't make us.
End of discussion.
So tell me about this girl you kissed.
Can we please talk about something else?
Fine.
Her name was Veronica Duncan, and he was madly in love with her for years.
End of discussion.
She kind of looked like you.
Except taller and younger.
And once again, that was the actress that played the girl on 1883, the sequel spinoff to Yellowstone, the Yellowstone series. And that one that she was in just ran for one season, and it was only intended to. And spoiler alert, it started with, well, I'm not going to go and say it. It started with a specific point and ended with a specific point. And so it wouldn't make sense for them to have other, seasons. But they did do another spinoff, 1923, I think it is. And they did one season, I think, of it. And I am just so anxious to see the next season of that to come out. And there's been, since COVID, there's been some production delays on that. And I don't know if it's all due to COVID. Also some issues with the writer and the creator. But Kevin Costner was in the original. Harrison Ford is in this one, and I really want to see the next season pick up where it left off. But anyway, back to this. They're spilling the beans on Georgie to Mandy, and he's going to pay for this later. But yeah, Mary, don't do that to the kids. You're hurting things. And again, with Sheldon, with even today in the Big Bang Theory as an adult, he has this negative view of religion, and it's because he only sees the superficial in it. And so if you come from it from the perspective that Mary's doing, and forcing your children to go through the motions when they don't understand it, they don't agree with it, they're only going to see the superficial things. And maybe Mary went through the same thing as a child, and she only sees the superficial things in it. She doesn't see the problem with just going through the motions. And she thinks that's saving their souls. It's not. Just going through the motions, getting dunked in water, like the kids would be doing if they went ahead and did it, and not mean it, not have that relationship with God, isn't saving their souls. In fact, it's detrimental. It's hurting. And I just wish more Christians would understand that and not try to force that on other people, because you're just pushing them farther away. She's praying in the garden. Okay, now she's going to have a special moment with Georgie. Okay. This reminds me of an episode in probably season 2, I think it might have been, where she was having an emotional time. It was a time somebody in the community, a child, had just passed away. And Mary was particularly emotional about it. She was questioning her faith. God, we all do this. God, how could you do this? How could you take this small child? It's not fair. It's not right. How could you let this happen? And she was starting to doubt her faith. And beautiful. It's my favorite. I think it's my favorite young Sheldon episode of all up to this point. Sheldon comes out, sits down with her, and here's a little boy that doesn't believe in God. He doesn't think God's real, but he knows that she does, and it's very important to her. And just through the compassion and the love that he shares with her in this experience, in this sad time for her, that's what God is all about. Is that even though he didn't believe, he was able to help her just by being there for her and showing her love. The way he spoke to it, I'm not going to spoil it here. Go back and watch the episode yourself. Very wonderful, powerful episode. But Sheldon helps her to get her faith back. Beautiful. And it looks like this is going to be one of those moments.